lye and milk mixture.
That's exciting! I did it!
Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Megan. Today is the third Saturday of the month, so that means a new skill. And I need y'all for moral support. So sometimes when I'm doing new things, I just have to have someone sitting with me so I can ramble sometimes, and gives me a little confidence even though I have no idea what I'm doing. So you guys are my moral support even though you're watching this days after I film it. It's also a little bit of accountability because I had to film this video. I have done this before. I'm going to make goat milk soap. I've made it twice. Both of them were okay. They weren't the best. But this time, I'm using beef tallow. So it's very, very different than every other time. I'm using beef tallow as one of the oils in the soap. It still has lye, it still has goat milk. We're gonna use coconut oil, olive oil, and castor oil also. I'm making this batch unscented. And then in the future, I plan on doing scented too. But right now, we're doing a batch unscented. When you're making soaps, you have two processes. You have hot and cold. Cold process is you don't heat stuff as hot, and therefore it has to cure to neutralize the lye. Because if you use it too soon, the lye will burn your skin. Hot process heats it up and basically cooks the lye acidity. I think it's the acidity. It cooks the lye until it's neutralized, and you can use it immediately. It still needs to cure for a little bit, so it's hard. It firms up really good. The firmer the soap, the less waste there is. It'll last a little longer. So I like hot process soap because I don't have a good place to set 100 bars of soap to cure. I want to end up having two types of soap. I want to do the goat milk and beef tallow soap, but I also want to do just goat milk soap, and it'll have another oil in place of the tallow. Some people see the tallow and they'd be scared. So I still want to offer a very clean soap that, you know, there's two types for everyone. I love the idea of the beef tallow because the beef tallow is going to be so good for the skin. That's the word we'll use. Good for the skin. So the first step is to start weighing stuff and get our oils melting. And we're going to do that. We're going to be using an old crock pot. Since I'm using lye, everything I use today is only for soap making. Minus my kitchen scale. I use it for everything because the lye doesn't touch it. But everything else is strictly for soap making. I have soap molds. I am doing the log style, so I'll have cutters for these. I also should probably have safety glasses. I end up getting so hot in the kitchen that they fog up and I can't see. But you should probably use safety glasses as well as good gloves. I do have some gloves. They're probably not the best option, but they're what I use. When making goat soap, use frozen milk with your lye. And I've showed y'all how I store my breast milk, so I know exactly how much is in each one of these bags, so I can pull out exactly what I need, or at least as close as possible. I'll have a little left over out of these bags because these are all 6-ounce bags, and I need 27 ounces. Okay, crock pot is warming up, and we are going to start weighing and measuring. I'm going to have to go get that other bag. And this is tallow that I have rendered myself. I bought it I brought the fat from a local farmer and rendered it. 31. And I've told y'all my red flag. I do not measure hardly anything. With soap and lotion, it's very important that you do measure. So I have to, you know, do what I'm not comfortable with. We have 44 ounces of beef tallow. And this is frozen, so it's going to take it a hot minute to thaw out. 20 ounces of coconut oil. 16 ounces of olive oil. Now we're going to do 4 ounces of castor oil. The beef tallow has been in here the longest because it was take the longest to melt because it was frozen. So we're gonna measure our milk first and then add our lye. If you do it the other way around, apparently it can cause like a volcano. So we're gonna measure our milk and then we'll add our lye to our milk. And I'll measure the lye in a separate container. This is our lye and milk mixture. Heat-proof bowl. I started out in the sink, so if it exploded into a volcano, it was ready. Here's our oil in our crock pot. So, we'll still use the spatulas, but gotta get out handy dandy submersion blender. And I did discover I had a cheaper one of these at one point. And I killed it very quickly. So, if you want to make your own soap, spend the money and get you a decent one because you're going to need it. When we add our lye milk mixture into our oil in our crock pot, we are going to start stirring with our submersion blender. And we're trying to get it to trace, which will be like a very thick pudding mixture. Then from there, we will stir off and on, letting it cook until we get to what a lot of people say, like a thick mashed potato stage. I know what it looks like, but I really don't know how to explain it other than it looks like really thick, chunky mashed potatoes. So, it takes a while. Once we get all that done, it actually will cook in the crock pot for about an hour, and we'll be doing the zap test, which I'll take a little bit of the soap and stick it to my tongue. You can buy you can buy strips to test it too. I just never did. So, the good thing is this is at trace and now it needs to cook. And I will come in periodically and stir and check it. Put the lid on. And now we're gonna cook it. We're getting close, guys. Look. Looks like mashed potatoes. Waxy mashed potatoes. I don't know why that's the descriptor, but it's very accurate. Everyone who makes soap uses it, or at least the hot process soap. So, we'll start testing this soon with the zap test. And it's very similar to like if you tried to stick a 9-volt battery to your tongue to see if it was working. Okay. I did the zap test. Well, I guess I probably need to do it on film. I had Reagan do it too, because he just got home. So, how I did it was take a little bit of soap out on the spoon. Let it cool for a second because it's hot.
I'm being helpful.
It's hot.
It's not
zappy.
It's not zappy. It's just hot and it tastes like soap. It's not.
Yeah.
It's pleasant. It smells good, but not pleasant to eat.
Cold processed soap is going to be your pretty soaps that have colors and designs and all that pretty stuff. Mine is going to look very rustic and rough. And as you put it in your molds, you got to tap it down a lot, because you want it to fill all these nooks and crannies and not have any air pockets. And that's hard sometimes. So I try to get a good layer of soap in there. I'm burning this because I don't want to tap it on my glass stove. Makes a lot of racket. But you can see, well, I should have tilted it. So there's one loaf of soap. I tried to use, you saw me doing the chopping, was just trying to make this look rough on purpose. I also like the hot process because I like this more rustic look. That's everything we have is rustic and making do with what we got. A big thing I like to tell myself the first 2 times I made soap was, even if I overcook it, it's still going to be soap. It's just not going to be as pretty, because my other soaps were very flaky and hard to like get them to form up. This one I didn't overcook, so it's actually going in this mold a lot better. And I have a little bit of soap left over. At one time, these were ice cube molds. Reagan hasn't used them in years, so I'm stealing them for soap molds. So we're gonna have giant big cube soap things. We're gonna let all these sit for about 24 hours, and then we'll cut the loaves, and then we'll just pop these out, and then we'll let them cure for probably a day or two, if not a little longer, because the lye is ready to go. The lye is not the issue now. It is just wanting them to form up and get really solid. The more solid they are, the more hard they are, the longer they last, and they don't deteriorate as fast. You know, your store-bought soap, sometimes it's gone all of a sudden. The longer these cure, the less that happens. That's what's really cool. You know, you may start using your first bar pretty quickly, but then as it sits longer, that last bar should last longer because it's cured longer. So, we'll see you in 24 hours when we cut these. So my little soap molds are pretty awesome. Little cubes from my ice molds I pulled out. There's little cubes. They're adorable. Also made this little guy, which is just a little spear of soap. I pulled a bunch of little flakes off my spatula. If I hopefully get these to where we can sell them, the end pieces that aren't as pretty, like this one where it's only got the wave on one side, these would just be the ones we keep for ourselves or like give away and stuff. And it works out great. But look at it. I'm really happy because the first couple batches of soap I did, when I cut them, you could see kind of air gaps and stuff where I'd overheated the soap and it was already really flaky, and so I was just trying to get it in a mold. And this is really solid, and you can tell it still needs a little bit of curing time because it's a little soft still, and it's been almost 48 hours. So, but I'm very happy with my soap. That's exciting, I did it! And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 20 bars, 3 cubes. I think these are like gonna be 2 ounces, I think. And so, I like it, I'm excited. I don't know how long this soap would essentially last us. Obviously, we're gonna make more because we wanna get better at this, but we have soap, I did it! If you do start making your own soap, one thing I've learned is the loaf molds are really cool because after a little bit of time, you can take these out of the wood and put new liner. You can get these liners a lot cheaper than like the whole block. So after, you know, a couple hours, you can pull it out and it'll just sit and finish curing until you're ready to cut it. So you can have a bunch of these floating around and only a couple of the wood blocks. Thank you for joining me on my soap making journey today, guys, and being my moral support. I'll see you on the next video, and on the 3rd of October, we'll be making something else. Everyone wants to see goat lotion, so maybe that's what I'll do, because I'm almost out again, because I made some over the summer, so maybe that's what we'll do. That's all I have. We'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.